Hey, y'all. So we're back with another video, and I think this one is one of those ones that's really important for our community. So I want you to make sure that you got a pen and a piece of paper so that we can go ahead and get started and dig right in, okay? Okay, so if you're new here, welcome. I'm Coach T, your financial access strategist and your finance bestie. I come in and I give you the information that you need to be successful. We like creating legacy builders here. There's no judgment. The only thing that I ask is that you give 100% at all times, okay? All times. Learn something new and share it with a family member or friend. We got to be in this thing together. Okay. So, our topic for today is the biggest money lie we were taught. Good debt versus bad debt. And we're going to talk about why the difference can change everything for you, okay? Now, I got a question for you though. How many of you grew up hearing that debt is bad? Like maybe your parents told you, your grandparents told you, you probably told your own kids the exact same thing, like literally, right? Now, I'm gonna ask you one more question. If debt is so bad, ask yourself this: why do millionaires and billionaires borrow money every single day? So, today we're going to unpack one of the biggest financial myths that many of us were raised believing. Okay, let's get started. So, this conversation, of course, it's not going to be about encouraging you to go and get debt that you don't understand. This conversation is not just going to be about borrowing money. It's going to be about helping you understand something that most of us were literally never taught. Okay. Now, there is a difference between debt that makes you poorer and the debt that can actually build wealth. You got to know the difference. Okay. Now, if debt is so bad, we just gonna let that sit real quick. If debt is so bad, why do millionaires borrow money every single day? So if it was automatically bad, why do banks lend money to businesses every single day? Why does investors use financing to make those major purchases, those real estate investments, all of that? Why do they do it? Why do corporations borrow billions of dollars a year and still able to manage operating every single day? It's a simple answer, y'all. It's literally simple. They understand something that many of us was never taught, that there is a difference between good debt and bad debt. Okay, so what we were taught it's and let me say this. This is not about blaming our parents at all, okay? They literally taught us what they knew. If they didn't know it, they couldn't teach it to us, right? Our parents, they didn't want to get the stress or handle or go through the stress of not understanding. They didn't want to go through the stress of bill collectors. They didn't want to have to go through losing their homes. They were avoiding making the biggest mistakes that they could, that, of their life that could literally change everything for them. And they weren't wrong for that. But one of the things that I've realized is that our parents and grandparents, they didn't have the whole picture. Does that sound familiar? Once here are some of the things that on the screen that we normally hear a lot. The first one is, I don't want to owe nobody. I know y'all heard that a lot. If you can't pay cash for it, you don't need to buy it. Yeah, I heard that one too. My dad said that all the time. Cut up your credit cards. For what? You're supposed to use your credit cards more than you actually use your debit cards. We'll get into that in another video. And because my grandmama said it, oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Now, this slide right here, it changed my whole perspective. It literally did. Like we weren't taught incomplete, right? And let me go back. So we were taught incomplete. We weren't taught wrong. I'm not gonna say the way that we learned things and what we learned was incorrect. But what I will say is it was incomplete because they didn't have the bigger picture. Nobody explained the difference between consumer debt. Nobody explained the difference in investment debt, and nobody actually even explained assets versus liabilities. Nobody explained what leverage even looked like, right? I know for me, just growing up, I heard a lot of the things that we read on the previous slide. And I was afraid of credit for a minute. Now, I was also the type that played Russian roulette, right? So I would literally go do things that you tell me not to do because I just wanted to see if it worked. If it didn't make sense with your explanation, I probably wanted to go see for myself. So with me, I jumped out there early and I got my own apartment, got evicted, moved soon enough to get another apartment, got evicted from that one too, right? You know, young and dumb as we call it. And I remember them telling me no. And I was so confused, like, what? How you gonna tell me no? I can't have a place to live if I have the money. And I realized quickly that it wasn't about having the money. I had already shown that I wasn't good with my finances. So they didn't want to repeat that same cycle all over again. I didn't understand, the importance of paying your monthly bills on time. And it actually impacted me. That's how I end up getting in the industry to teach finances and to teach credit because I was in a situation where I was homeless and I was sleeping in my car. So this is one of the reasons why it's important for you to understand that understand credit and life happens. I got in this space by falling, right? By something happening, by life happening, and then I learned from that. So take where you are right now and learn from those things, okay? Let's keep going. Now, debt is just a tool. Think about a hammer, right? A hammer can literally build a house or somebody can use that same hammer to destroy something, right? The hammer isn't good or bad. It doesn't make it something that's good or bad. It's how it's used that makes it good or bad, right? That literally works the same way. So if you think about a vehicle, it gets you to the opportunity or it can keep you in traffic. If you think about a credit card, it's a very powerful leveraging tool, but if you don't have a strategy, it could be very dangerous and end up hurting you in the long run. Even a kitchen knife, it can feed your family or it can cause harm, right? It's all about the intention. Same tool, same object, same thing, but they could serve different purposes. So you have to understand that debt works the same way. It's the same thing, debt, right? But certain debt serves certain purposes, whether it's good or whether it's bad. So we're going to start talking a little bit about the difference in between our debts. Okay. So let's start with bad debt. Now, bad debt, it usually does one thing. It takes money out of your pocket. Okay. So think about financing a vacation. Designer bags, shoes, furniture, buying things you simply wanted instead of the things that you actually needed. Once that excitement wore off, that payment says, are you ready to pay? Hmm. Then you get those calls, right? And then you're like, oh my gosh, I got to pay this back. Right. Have you ever finished paying for something long after it stopped bringing you joy? Didn't it stress you out? I know. So some of my ideas of bad debt is shopping sprees on credit, right? Because you spend it and then you got to pay it back. You got all the things, but you no longer using it. So if you maxed out your credit card and you're paying back on it monthly for a year, you probably don't wore those clothes out, right? Vacations still being paid for years later. I see a lot of people doing that. That can cost you a lot more in the end. Designer clothes that don't build value for you. These are liabilities, high interest loans for your impulsive purchases. Mhm. And y'all know the ones I'm talking about. Don't act like you do. And don't act like you don't. Okay. Every dollar borrowed for consumption is a dollar working against you, not for you. So you have to understand that these things are fun. We've learned and we've grown to believe that, having that money and spending it is what you look for, not understanding how much it actually hurts you in the end, especially if you don't have the best credit and you have higher interest rates. Now you're paying double for things you could have paid less for if you had good credit. Okay. So now let's get into the good debts a little bit. We're gonna flip the script for just a second. So good debt helps you put money back into your pocket, right? Instead of buying something that loses the value, it helps you build something that creates the value. Some examples that I can give you are like businesses, rental properties, equipment, marketing, inventory, the education that actually increases your income, right? This is why business owners think a little bit differently, because you have to figure out the things that are going to bring money in, not the things that are going to pull money out, right? No, what can you think about that can bring you money, right? What are some assets or some things that debt that you may have that's bringing you money, right? Do you have good debt? Do you have bad debt? Now, what I want you to do, if you're already here, I want to make sure that you've already hit the subscribe button, because I want you to stay in the know with how to understand your money, your finances, and your credit. Okay, we are here once a week, making sure that you understand finances, that you understand credit, and I don't want you to miss it. Okay. And drop in the comments what's the different type of good debt and bad debt that you have that you want to shift. You may want to shift some of those bad debts and get you some income generating debt. What are some of those? Drop them in the comments for me. All right, let's keep going. Now, we're going to do a little comparison here. Okay. Let's say two people both borrow $20,000. One of those people uses it to take a fancy vacation, right? The vacation is over in a week and the payments last for a full 12 months. The other person uses that same $20,000 to start a business. Now, the business earns enough money to pay back that loan and then continue making more money. Both of those individuals borrow money, right? Only one of them created wealth. Did you hear what I said? Only one of them created wealth, not both of them, one of them, right? The debt was not the problem in this situation. What was? That's right. The decision. So that decision that you made is what made that debt go from bad debt. I mean, from good debt to bad debt, right? Because it's nothing that actually generated you some revenue. Okay. So the wealthy, they think different. And you got to remember that, right? The wealthy don't ask, how do I avoid debt? They ask, how do I make this debt work for me? How do I buy an asset instead of a liability? Like, how do I let this investment produce some income for me? So, if you're not in a place where you want to be and you don't feel like you're generating wealth, you may want to screenshot this and put it somewhere close. I'm not asking how do I avoid it. I want to know how I can use this to generate something better for me. How I want to build generational wealth. Remember, we're building legacy builders, right? We're trying to build generational wealth builders, first generation wealth builders. And in order to do that, you have to understand how to leverage credit, how to leverage debt in order for you to get to that place in life. Okay. Now, I don't care what you're financing. I don't care what you're financing. I need you to ask yourself these four questions first. So take a screenshot of them. Okay. Walk through each one of them slowly, carefully, and ensure that you've answered it honestly. Don't answer it just because you want it. Answer it with truth. Will this make money? Is this going to make me some money? Ask yourself, will it grow in value? Or does the value stay put? Or does it decrease in value? Can it eventually pay for itself? That's a good one, right? Can I comfortably afford this? A lot of times we purchase things we know we can't afford just because we like the luxury. Ask yourself, can you comfortably afford it? Just because your paycheck says you can you comfortably do that? If the answer is no to every one of those questions, walk away. If 50% of the answer to those questions are no, walk away because it may not be what's going to help you build generational wealth. Okay. Now, I don't want you leaving here thinking I'm telling you to finance every single thing because that's not what I'm saying. Okay. What I am telling you is to become intentional about it. Many follow what I say, many take it how they want it to go. I need you to understand that money follows your decisions, right? Good decisions, they create options for you, but bad decisions, they're going to create payments. Do you want those options or do you want those payments, right? Debt isn't the enemy here. Let me say it again. Debt is not the enemy here. Those bad decisions we're making are. So address the bad decisions. Okay? Address the bad decisions. Now, we can address those bad decisions because this is why I created the Financial Access Academy. Because nobody should have to figure out this stuff by trial and error. I did that for you. So I wanted a place where I could finally put people in the same place that were like minded, that were ready to learn the financial principles that most of us were never taught growing up. Okay. And I want to make sure that you are in that community because we want to make sure that you understand exactly what it takes to build generational wealth. Okay. Join us, like for real. Stop playing. You've been here long enough. Now, I do want you to understand that this is not just another course, it's an entire community. Okay. It's a community backed with tons of courses to teach you everything that you need to know. Now, every week we're talking about credit, we're talking about business readiness, we're talking about funding, we're talking about financial literacy, we're talking about home ownership, we're even talking about business credit, how to prepare before you ever walk into a bank. Okay. You're understanding how to understand the systems that were never explained to us. This is why you should be in the financial access community. We're not trying to be behind, we're trying to get ahead of all of the different things that have stood in our way for generations after generations after generations. Okay. So make sure you join. I dropped the link in the description so that you can access it easy, but you can also take a screenshot of this page as well and come join the family so that you can learn what it takes to build that generational wealth in your family. Now, listen, if this video shifted your perspective even just a little bit, imagine what 6 weeks of intentional financial education could do for you. Now, if you're ready to stop guessing, start understanding, and ready to build the financial infrastructure instead of the financial confusion, I would love to have you inside of the Financial Access Academy. Now, you'll find the link below in the description. And if this video helped you, do me a favor, like it, subscribe, and leave a comment answering this one question for me. What was the biggest lie that you were taught about money growing up? I'd love to read y'all answers. Now, I'm going to leave you with one more thing. Remember, debt does not determine your future, your wisdom does. The goal isn't to borrow more money, the goal is to make wiser financial decisions that create opportunities, not just for you, but for the generations that are coming after you. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, family.